Hey folks, it is the night before I'm going fishing and I cannot sleep. Everyone in my house is asleep. And I thought, alright, time to make a video about doing what I do the night before. Sometimes it's more than one night before, and it has to do with both research on water that you're gonna be fishing on before you even drive there and look at it, which is a critical step. Using both Google Maps, but also some old school resources. So let's start with the Google Maps. And I think this is something that everyone does. And you know, they're hoping that that next place that they're researching is the place that really nobody knows, and it's amazing, and you go there and you're just lots of stupid fish that I've never seen a lure, and I'm finding those places recently. You have some tough trips where you go there and it's a dud, and you're like, wow, I just drove 4 hours for nothing. But then you find some winners, so you gotta grind to find the winners. I'm using this computer because I have touchscreen capabilities, which is what I do with my phone. Alright, so we're going to Google Maps. And I don't think I'm going to teach you anything revolutionary or mind-blowing with this, but it starts with, honestly, it starts with a rumor, a thing you heard from someone who said, yeah, that river, that's the one. Well, it may not be where there are livery services that drop off people, and on the weekends in the summer you have, 30, batches of 30 float tubers, one after the other. It starts with places where it's not easy. That's critical. It can't be easy. There has to be places where you got to hop over a guardrail. There's a junkyard next to there, and there are dogs barking, and you got to move fast. Or, there are places where you got to knock on doors and say, "May I please, put in right here behind your little liquor store," or whatever it is. If it's easy, yeah, I don't need that. If it's easy, people have been there. So let's look at Google Maps. Let me get rid of, let's hide all that stuff. Okay. So Google Maps is here, and this is a little creek near my house. So I'm not advocating you come and fish here. That's someone's farm pond. I've fished it in places, riding my bike with my kids, and it's nothing that I would say, yeah, you gotta come do this, really. But I'm using it as an example. So what you do is you find places where bridges cross the small river, and then you switch over. I'm switching over to satellite, and you say, okay, here's that spot. What does that look like? You zoom in, and can I park on the side of the road there? Maybe I get there and it's posted. That's a better looking shoulder. That looks like somewhere I could pull over. Maybe it's not this, this place, but it's this little farm road pull off. You find places like that, and you kind of rank them and say, yeah, that's, I can drop in there and I can park there. So, and it's really not until you get there that you really figure out that yes, this is feasible, or no, it's not. A lot of times it's places where there's an intersection nearby and you can pull up and drive by it really slowly and say, yeah, this is feasible. I can drag down there and put in, but where do you park? So anyhow, that's sort of the Google Maps process. We're going to switch over to the old school resources. And this is where you can find the real gold, the real amazing stuff. Let's start with paddling guidebooks. This is Edward Gertler's Keystone Canoeing, and it basically lays out different, and I just randomly opened up different sections of different rivers and breaks them into, paddling chapters where it tells you, okay, what is the difficulty? A to 1 in this case, it means like a class 1. So there's not a whole lot of really rough whitewater in this area. It's actually a pretty good gradient, but he gives a description. Whatever. This is a resource where you find out about what are your access points, what are the ones that you know that you can put in, and in certain cases he gives you distances. So it's 0.7 miles from that bridge to that bridge. Oh, there's a dam. Watch out. Do I have to portage it? Well, that's where you go back and you read the description and find out what hazards he's come across, and sometimes it'll say portage river left or difficult portage, or don't even bother. So paddling guidebooks are just a wealth of knowledge, and I try to collect as many of those as possible. This is part of a little document I got from an outfitter, Blue Mountain Outfitters in Marysville, Pennsylvania, and it's actually uses excerpts from this book, but they've gone in and filled in lots more information in terms of the formal Fish and Boat Commission accesses, Forestry Commission, Game Commission, local municipalities. So all I'm going to say is, go to your local paddle shops and talk to them, because sometimes, they may sell a list of accesses in terms of, here's I'm gonna reach up here and pull one out. They may sell stuff like this, where it has an actual water trail where it shows the put-ins and takeouts. This is a different one. GMCO does a lot of the places. This is really fishing. This is made for anglers, I think, more than paddlers. And there's some interesting information on here. GMCO is I got a ton of their stuff. So that's another sort of old school resource that's really valuable. Sometimes you come across little gems like this, and this is something that I got at a Potomac River Smallmouth Club meeting years ago, and these are very old topographical maps that they have put historical information in, and stuff like, here's a low-level bridge. I don't know, man, just talking about Indians and probably some it talks about some of the history, some of the Civil War history sometimes in the area, where they had different mills, where they have dams that mill dams that used to be there, but they're washed out, which can be really good fishing structure. There's a grist mill dam. Anyhow, it's this sort of historical data that can really tell you very specifically what you're going to come across, what those rapids look like. For sure, this thing is well worn. I've actually put it back together with little zip ties because it was falling apart. So that is gold. Get other ones. Honestly, this one was satellite photography that somebody turned into. Honestly, it's pretty much the precursor of this. These are interesting. You know, they're aerial photography fishing guides, and they're somewhat cantankerous and old school, and I find my fingers wanting to go like that on them, but they're useful information. Anyone that fishes the Susquehanna knows what I'm looking at right now. This is Riverfront Campground, Juniata coming in, main stem. This north branch side, you can even see the mud lane here, and then the west branch, which is clear. I'm going to push that aside, and we're going to look at these Atlas and Gazetteers. So they have a lot of information, but ultimately they're based on the USGS maps, United States Geological Survey, and they put all sorts of cool things like, you know, here are all the little boat ramps for this particular lake. What is this? Tennessee River. I don't even know what I opened up to. Anyhow, there's cool stuff in there. The coolest stuff though is where you find, you know, here's the upper portion of I guess it's Chickamauga. Cool. Anyhow, you can use this to go up in the river and find there's a Hiawassee. Let's go up there. Let's find that bridge that connects to the next page. We're going to go further and further up it. We're going to find a place where, oh look, there's a place that we can put in near the confluence of Ocoee and whatever. Here's a big old mountain gap. Anyhow, you use this in conjunction with a paddling guidebook, and you find other places that are gold. Well, let's come over to this. I'm actually going to fish. I think this is the Loch Raven one. This one was produced in the 70s by Maryland Department of Natural Resources, and this is Loch Raven Reservoir, and I got a copy of this. Made black and white photocopies of it and laminated, and even the lamination is falling apart. But these old school bathymetric maps can be really, really good to help you find those, you know, those spots. If you're just unfamiliar with the place, like, you know, you've never been there and you're like, it's summer, let's find some offshore humps. Well, there's an interesting one that juts way out and has deep water on all sides. Let's go check that out. I could keep going, and there's, you know, there's more maps and stuff up there, but my point and what I was thinking of, all right, I need to address what I do the night before when I can't sleep, and it's just like, you know, it's Christmas, and it's like, I get to go fishing tomorrow. I have a place I'm going to tomorrow, and it's a small river, and I'm putting all my eggs in the basket of one launch that I found on Google Maps. I've researched it with, I didn't find a whole lot in a paddling guidebook, but I talked to a friend that lives down there, and he's like, yeah, do that. I can't get my John boat in there, and it is inaccessible, and where you have bass boat tournaments, they try to get close to it, and there's log jams, and it's in the way, and everyone wants to get up in there, but no one can. He's like, but you can do it. You can do it in your little 31-pound inflatable kayak, drag it over the guardrail, and go. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. You got to network with people to find good places to fish that are tough to get to, difficult places to reach, and you got to find resources. You got to find, little gems like the little maps that I've shown you, and you got to be willing to drive a long way on a chance that it's gold. And I've had some success here recently. I've had success in the past, and I've had places that I've gone to like 3 trips in a row that were duds, and then I hit one that is gold, and I get comments on the YouTube video saying, "Where'd you go?" No, I want to teach you the process. I will spoon feed you patterns, and I'm even spoon feeding you the process. I'm not going to give up, what amounts to 12, 16, 18, 20, 24 hours of drive time to hit the one spot that it's like, yes, it works. It's got to be difficult. If it's difficult, I'm not just gonna hand it to you. But this is the process. So, thought I would share my thoughts and some of my old school resources coupled with what we do on Google Maps. I should try to get some sleep. Good night.